has been the biggest change in the field of diplomacy that you've witnessed since you began your career?
Well, I would say technology.
Technology.
Changes in technology.
Digital transformation.
The technology change has just been incredible, absolutely incredible.
When I started, there were no personal computers or internet, much less social media.
When I first started in the Foreign Service, which was in 1983, we only had a handful of computers. They were Wang computers. I don't know if you've even ever heard of Wang. It's a very old technology. And there were just a few that our secretaries had. Communications were done between Washington and the embassies around the world, primarily through cables, telegrams.
When I was in the Seychelles, like 1981, there was a attack by mercenaries who tried to take over the government. And the way Washington found out was that BBC telephoned me for a phone interview. And I told them I will only give them a phone interview if they call Washington, because we had no phone service whatsoever, that if they call the State Department and tell them that there's a coup going on.
And that's how they found out.
That's how the Ops Center found out.
And then over time, of course, these various other technologies crept into our work to the point where we all got computers, and then they got hooked up to the internet, and then eventually cellular communications came along.
And then social media has profoundly changed what governments can do and how diplomats do their business.
You had the diplomats and heads of state now going right to social media and conjuring up thoughts and ideas on what needs to happen in the country, and also bringing about real change, but also transparency directly to the people, not going through a second medium.
Communications and the flow of information, became instantaneous.
Ambassadors and embassies used to have a great deal of independence, because when things happened, there was always a time lag in the events, and in Washington, number one, becoming aware of them or responding to them.
Senior officials of the State Department can pick up the phone or text, directly with their counterparts around the world. So they're a little bit less reliant on their embassies to convey information to the host governments. And so that means that you have to, really work hard to make sure that you're sharing information and who's talked to who and what messages has been conveyed.
Hosts understand local conditions much better than Washington. And now with the power completely switching to Washington, and you have a whole number of bureaus in Washington that are looking over the shoulders of the posts and micromanaging them and telling them how to do what, when.
Of course, an advantage of that is that, you get the information right away, you can react much more quickly. But as I say, sometimes that means that maybe you're reacting a little too quickly. Maybe you're not taking time to fully consider the impacts of decisions that you're making.
It's a lot more complex, and you don't have as much time to deal with individual issues.
Maybe a little bit more challenging to know what's an official instruction, and it's easier to, sort of get a little bit ahead of the fuller organization.
Basically, anything that happens in the world and everything that happens in the world gets commented on.
It's hard today to have a confidential conversation.
Governments are now criticized more in my career, during my career, because there's much more real-time scrutiny. You look at people taking to the streets much more avidly because they're more informed, they're better informed.